These fans in Boston are hoping to rally the Celtics here today as they trail the Indiana Pacers 3-0 in the best out of 7 series. We take a look at the McDonald's NBA brackets in the East. If the Pacers advance, they await the winner of the Miami-New Orleans series next. Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. Along with Bill Raftery, I'm Brent Musburger. Pleasure to have you along with us. Raft, as we look back at the history of the NBA, no franchise more storied than the Boston Celtics, but they're on the verge of being swept away by double digits in each game. They need all the pride they can muster.
Oh, you talk about pride. It's got to start with your best player, Paul Pierce. Everybody that gets in, Brent, has to be all out on the floor, knocking people down. This is the playoffs. You've got to step up.
Now, on the other side, the Indiana Pacers, this is a very talented basketball team.
Every place they turn, they've got ability. They're deep in size. They know how to put you away defensively. I'm so impressed. They get after everything loose on the glass. The offensive rebounds, get down to the bench points. Anybody they turn to is solid. They go inside with the dribble or the post-up. They are a terrific team playing at the top of their game.
You mentioned the key man for the Celtics, Paul Pierce, coming off his playoff low. Can he step it up in Game 4? We're about to find out.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by The Day After Tomorrow, in theaters May 28th, and the new Chevrolets, 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months, an American revolution.
Miller Lite has 1/2 the carbs of Bud Light.
And the playoffs continue in high definition here on ESPN. An Eastern Conference opener, best out of 7. The Boston Celtics hoping to reach back and play one for pride. And Larry Bird, the man who is orchestrating this team right now. He's the head of Indiana's basketball operations. We take a look at our Bud Light starting lineups for this game of 4. Artest, O'Neal, and Foster versus Welsh, McCarty, and Blount of the Celts. In the backcourt, Tinsley and Miller against Atkins and Pierce. And of course, there's a cross matchup as Artest drops back, and Rafty has done a spectacular job on Pierce, holding him to 9 points, and Jermaine O'Neal and his friends have done the rest.
He punishes on both ends of the floor. He's posting up, bounces, always gets a little contact. And obviously, Pierce going to have to play within himself. Don't try and rush things early. Give him more screens, I think, Brent. Maybe get him some post-up, see if they can force a double, and maybe find the open shooter.
Ron Gerritsen, Mark Wunderlich, and Joe Forte are the 3 officials here for Game 4. Wunderlich will toss it up, and we'll be underway. Blount and Jermaine O'Neal controlled by the Pacers, and Tinsley brings it down. Larry Bird saying some interesting things about Tinsley. Ralph says that someday he could become an all-star. That's how much he's improved.
A couple of years, maybe. Right now, the shooting is the question, but he can run a team. He doesn't turn the ball over and gets it inside.
O'Neal steps it outside over Blount.
And you noticed Artest ducking in, the option of dumping it down.
See what the Celts come up with here in their first set if they try to get number 34 going. They do. They rub Artest. He goes to the glass and missed the layup. Had a golden opportunity. They get a high screen on Artest, and Pierce couldn't close the deal.
Brent, that's a play out of the old Celtic book. And here they go inside, and unfortunately, Blount with the giveaway. A side scissor for Pierce. That's Russell, vintage Russell. And he's got to finish when he gets to the rim. He has really been struggling completing sequences.
So Jermaine O'Neal, fouled by Blount on the play, steps up to the free throw line, and here's the man who would have been the MVP of the Eastern Conference. I don't think there's any question about that, given his performance all season long for a team that won 61 games and wound up with the best record in the NBA. And in this particular series, at times he's been dominant, at other times he's been in foul trouble, but he has managed to average an even 20 points and almost a double-double, just shy of 10 rebounds a game.
And what did Kenny Anderson say to both of us? We're a old, young team. And this is a case in point, 7 years in the league and not 24. Amazing.
Well, they ran a play for Pierce. This time Pierce screens for Atkins. Tinsley stays with him. They go low to Blount, and Blount nails it from the left side.
A great look by McCarty. Great size. Plus, he drags the guy out because he can make that three.
Pacers turn. High screen from Foster.
They fight over the top. A little different look.
Low to the block. Chucky to double team, so Reggie fires a three. Well, the third member of our team who is here, Doris Burke, she watched her son Matthew pitch strongly in a Little League game yesterday. And Doris, nice to have you with us.
Thanks, Brent. In the aftermath of that Game 3 loss, much was made of Celtics captain Paul Pierce and his demeanor in-game. In particular, 3 successive first-half timeouts where he stares straight ahead, does not participate at all in the team huddle. He goes on to shoot 4 for 17, the frustration evident. And guys, John Carroll quick to come to his defense. He said, listen, this is a case of one guy being asked to do too much. Pierce yesterday pleading with his team, touching on something you both alluded to earlier. We've got to play this one for Celtics pride, guys. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, such a good point, Doris. Indeed, they do have to play this one for pride. And in fairness to Pierce, after he got those 2 quick fouls in Game 3, he really wasn't the same, was he? Right?
No, he was in a little bit of a funk, but I think John Carroll said what a coach has to say. But I would rather the attitude of Reggie Miller prevailing. He was regaling on the bench at any good play by O'Neal and others.
Pierce will put it down. Game is tied at 4. There's that pull-up jump shot. He just can't get the shot to fall. Saved by Atkins. Welsh nails it back. Great cut by Welsh.
How about that?
Free of Miller.
How about that? That's one of the few breakdowns we've seen the Pacers have defensively. They're so alert. They see the ball and their guy. Nice little dive to the tin by Welsh.
Well, that's what Rick Carlisle really has to be concerned with, is a team flattening out a little bit, overconfident, whatever you want to call it, because it has been so easy. They have beaten the Celtics by double digits in all 3 games, and here the Celtics are on fire. Pierce nails the 3. I think Rick wants an early timeout. He wants a 30 right now. I could see it in his eyes after Artest missed badly down there on the other side. Rick was thinking, let me just settle things down here. Just get them together, get them refocused on this, because now with number 34 nailing the 3, the Celtics open up a 5-point advantage.
How about the attitude? Atkins with the push, the find, a new Paul Pierce.
So this is a great first date. Y'all look delicious. I mean, pretty.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Paul Pierce, because reportedly Danny Ainge has cut short his European scouting trip to return here for 4. He missed games 2 and 3 of the series. A little bit of the media and talk radio questioning Danny leaving the team, because he definitely left Pierce alone when he traded Antoine Walker and later Tony Battie, and basically dismantled the team as the season was beginning in the Walker case and in midseason, as was the case with Battie and Williams. So here is Pierce, basically a one-man band, as Artest comes down to the left baseline. And let's follow up on that Pierce story, being left alone here.
Let's just say it is true that they dismantled the team. He is there alone. He still has to come to play. I mean, it's his obligation. It's his professional pride that we've alluded to. And he looks like he is out of the funk. And I think some of the things they ran early got him involved in the offense. Nice denial by O'Neal.
Blount's very active, and Artest has got it when he tapped it back to him. And 3-on-1, no chance for the Celtics there. When we go back to Game 3, let us remember that Pierce did not have a single field goal in the first quarter of that game.
Now they established nice and early on the screen and rolls on the side for Atkins, and I think he can beat his man with the dribble, but not too many bounces. He's got to make quicker decisions.
Screen by Blount. Here's Welsh. Miller wanted to go baseline. They try to load Pierce, and O'Neal had switched over. Ball goes out of bounds and hit last by the Celts, and interim coach John Carroll, who's done a good job under very difficult circumstances. I'm sure that he will work someplace next year as an assistant coach, or maybe a head coach in the college ranks. Who's to know? Obviously, Danny Ainge is looking down the road. Everyone expects a new leader here in Boston, but I say hats off to Carroll and what he's accomplished.
And look at this. They were arguing with the official, and unfortunately don't get back. They dodge one here.
Off Atkins' hands, couldn't run it down. Reggie now to Foster, give it back to Tinsley, and the point guard spins back left.
Pretty.
It was beautiful.
So that's what I think Larry Bird likes. He thinks passing first, and it's when you've got guys around him, he complements that. Get him involved. Don't settle for the J, as a lot of point guards will early.
Pierce on a clear out against Artest, who's just the defensive player of the year. And Pierce did not get to the free throw line early in game 3. And he's someone you honestly like to see Pierce shoot upwards of 20 free throws a game if you possibly can.
You know, he's got to get doubles on the free throw line. I agree with you there. But they've done more things for him early, and he looks fresh, too, like he wants it. This is a nice power through, initiate the contact with an opportunity for the 2.
A year ago, he had Walker at his side. But they were, remember, after beating Indiana in the first round, they were swept away by the Nets. So they have lost 7 straight playoff games coming into this one.
You mentioned Williams and Battie, Eric Williams and Tony Battie. I mean, it's a whole different team. They're trying to build it for speed, get up and down the floor. That's partially there now. They're not at all that running team, but they need the talent level to be improved, Brent. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Artest maneuvering, and one of the things that makes him a good defensive player, he'll make him work at the other end. Kenny Anderson telling us that. Blount on the free throw line. Tinsley took a good foul that time.
Great effort. Absolutely sensational. He did not give up on the play. And McCarty couldn't feel him, or excuse me, Blount couldn't feel him as he was getting the puppies down the middle.
Blount, of course, due to become a free agent, looking for that big paycheck, and some feel that that has motivated him a little bit more this year. But I say, why not? That's why you're a professional.
Look at everything. You know, Tommy Heinsohn, who Hall of Famer, of course, the broadcaster here, he was telling me there's a lot of interest in the league in Blount at 7 feet tall. I mean, it's you can't teach the size.
Would Jim O'Brien be interested in Philly? Now,
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never asked him about that. Of course, he's the new head coach at the 76ers, and won't that be a fascinating storyline next year? O'Neal turning baseline, and here come the Celtics again. Welsh is a lead. He's a good finisher in this situation.
Solid, and Reggie didn't foul, did the sharp thing, make an attempt to scrape.
And Rick Carlisle does not like the start to this game. He simply has not liked anything he's seen. Now, the one thing Carlisle has sitting over there is perhaps the best bench in the NBA, led by Al Harrington. The Celtics are on a 6-0 run.
You're watching the NBA playoffs on ESPN.
This just in. Paul Pierce is feeling it. Oh, no! He did not! Paul Pierce right now is unstoppable. Come on, bring it. Bring it, big fella. Show me what you got. Pierce goes up for 3. That's what I've got.
That was the high point for Pierce a year ago with a 21-point quarter. The Celtics eliminating Indiana in 6 games before they met the New Jersey net roadblock. But that was an entirely different team. And now Danny Ainge is in the middle of remaking this franchise. And Paul Pierce is basically the only main man left from a year ago. There are 2 statistics that would make the Celtics smile. Second chance points in this game, the Pacers without a single one. The Pacers are without a single offensive rebound. And as Raph pointed out during that timeout, Carlisle has used 2 timeouts here early.
Well, he doesn't like the personality of his team right now. The other thing, only 1 turnover that which led to a basket. So the Celtics doing a better job. Here they go right inside. Nice play by Pierce.
And a follow by Foster. And there's the second chance points.
Now, there's one that you've got to somehow come up with. Nice block. Somebody's got to run it down.
Or put Foster on the free throw line.
Yeah,
don't let him have that shot.
Look at the hands of Artest. I mean, he is a...
Oh, Pierce pushes him down. Technical is called. Oh, right in front of us. And Artest did a beautiful flop. But it was Pierce pushing him away. No question about it.
Brent, he gets in your head. I mean, he did a little bit of a dive, but he did get pushed. I mean, he knew he could get the attention of the officials. This is the new Ron Artest.
This is big in this particular game.
Right here, take a look, Brent. Now, watch he knows he's going to get pushed now. This is the nudgy, the little step in, and just take that dive, Vlade.
That's beautiful. I mean, he just did it. The hands were there. He knew he could draw it. It was great. And look at the look on Artest's face. There's nothing like a conceited smile. That same look that he has. I asked him before the game. I went to him and I said, Ron, do you talk to Pierce during the game? He said, I never say a word. I just keep bringing it. He's a tough, fierce competitor. Doesn't trash talk. And who knows if that's going to be the turning point one way or the other in this game.
Look at the
Tinsley ran ahead of him. Atkins 3. Out of bounds. And a reminder to log on to NBA.com and play Virtual GM Postseason Edition. Pick your fantasy dream team. Try to beat Bill Walton's score to be eligible for great prizes. Virtual GM Postseason Edition only on NBA.com. All right, Tinsley brings it back down now. 5.5 minutes to go here in the opening quarter.
A nice job by Pierce fronting Artest in the box area. Now they double him up.
Miller fires at 2. He was on the line into Blount's hands.
A nice job putting the fire out by O'Neal. Took away the wing pass.
Pierce up over Artest. Misfired. Oh, how badly he wanted that one against Artest.
That was a show-me shot, huh?
Oh, was it?
A little macho drill from deep.
Yeah. Now, like I said, Artest will make you work here at this end. He's an active offensive player, not particularly smooth sometimes, but Pierce has to be aware that he's got to play defense at least against it.
Now Blount out too slow. I mean, you've got to really pop out and show if you're going to.
Good job of blocking off, though, on the glass. The Celtics are leaving more men in to rebound, Raf, than they did in Game 3. And there's the jump shot from the left wing there for Pierce. And the Celts are up by 4. So the one thing that you like to see, you didn't want to see the technical, but you like to see the fire in Pierce's belly when that unfolded.
It take it personal. I mean, just step up here. The foul as O'Neal made the cut, the small changer. But the one thing about Ron Artest that's different, he didn't get up and go after anybody. He just took it. By the way, being a boxer, when he landed on the floor, he was taking the 10 count.
I went to him and asked him the other question. I wanted to know, your father was a boxer. Did you box? He said, yes, I did when I was young. I said, what did that do for you? He said, my hands are probably a little quicker as the result of father teaching me how to fight when I was young. And he has some of the quickest hands that I've watched. Now, he had a ligament problem on that left thumb, if you're wondering about the tape. And there's a heavy wrap and then a thick piece of sponge underneath him. He said it really doesn't bother him.
And the team really appreciate him coming back earlier, too, with that problem with the thumb. There was only one fighter in my family, and it was usually my father. You know, I was the recipient of a few shots to the backside, I might add.
The Celts have 6 field goals and 6 assists, unlike Friday night. They were shy on the assists, so team doing much better, and O'Neal didn't finish.
He got away with a walk, too, Brent.
Won't be the first that did that in the NBA, I might add. Blount backs it down, turns baseline, got the bounce.
And you know what was good there? He was looking to kick it out to Pierce, too, and it opened up, and a nice read by Pierce.
Great steal by Pierce. A different Celtic team in the early going. Didn't get the whistle underneath. And Pierce thought the ball was out of bounds. He's got to get back defensively. O'Neal spins. Mim is there. But from the corner, they respond on that field goal, of course, by Fred Jones.
Where they can really come at you with people, and they all contribute. Harrington starts it up. Jones finishes it.
Jones doesn't get a lot of credit, but he's a valuable member of that bench also. Mim crashes. Harrington.
Nice
gets in for an easy basket. He had too many of those in Game 3. Somebody's got to get on Harrington.
Well, you know, the problem was they stopped the fast break, but the wing guy stays up top. You got to protect the basket first and then come out. Well, that's one of those plays in the schoolyard. You get some woofing from your teammates. Too easy.
Al Harrington. He could have been the 6th man of the year. He's an awfully good player coming off the Pacers bench.
You're watching the NBA playoffs on ESPN.
(1917), the Celtics have carved out that lead, shooting 50% from the field. Well, we mentioned Harrington missing out on the 6th man award, but Antoine Jameson down in Dallas, the winner. Reggie Miller winning the Citizenship Award. Ron Artest, the Defensive Player of the Year. Now, of those awards, Raft, is there anyone that you take exception to? There's one that I think they had the wrong winner of. Which
are you thinking, Al?
No, I'll tell you the one. I honestly think in watching Carmelo Anthony last night that he should have been Rookie of the Year. Now, LeBron James may wind up at the Basketball Hall of Fame. Right. I got no quarrel with that. He had a great year. But what Carmelo Anthony has done with that Nugget team and the way he stood in there last night and they won a playoff game against Minnesota and it wasn't close.
Getting into the playoffs, you think warrants it, right?
I think, but well, what the heck.
But how about you, and P.J. Brown? P.J. was with the Nets, did a lot of, what a class act. Great to see him.
He did great.
Paid that honor.
Congratulations to all, including LeBron James. That was not intended as a negative on LeBron at all. It's more a positive on Carmelo. Deflected down, but over to Blount. Here's Mim in the paint.
Didn't shoot it. Short-armed it. Different attitude because Pierce came with a good attitude. Everybody feeds off your best player.
Raph, let's talk about this bench that Harrington is out here now. Johnson is running the point. Jones is 1 of 1. They've hit their only 2 field goal opportunities. Now, there are many around the league who think this is the deepest and most talented overall bench in the NBA. Would you agree with that?
Detroit I was impressed with, too, for being deep. Good. Harrington just looked like he got nicked on the thumb. They get a response when they go to the bench. They either increase the lead or keep it the way it is. I mean, this is a very deep and talented group of guys. And they play the same way on the defensive end. I mean, that's what's key, too. Good D here.
Harrington at the buzzer, misfiring into Blount's hands. And the Celtics opportunity to increase their 2-point lead on this trip. Atkins, good pickup by Danny Ainge. He's meant a lot to this team. Blount has played hard for them. Welsh looks like he has a future, and Blount's back on that free throw line. The Celtics are getting to the free throw line where they are 4 of 4 in this game. They've given up only 2 second chance points, and I certainly want to remind everybody as we watch Blount step up to the free throw line. This is just the beginning of NBA action on network television today. We start here on ESPN, then we switch over to ABC, and you'll watch the Lakers take on Yao Ming and the Houston Rockets. And Raft, I know that you were very impressed with how Yao Ming and Stevie Francis played for the Rockets in Game 3.
Wonder. Unbelievable. And Yao has learned how to play. How about the one screen in the lane? Just beautiful. Speaking of a guy that got a lot of screens.
Sometimes he didn't even need them.
That's right. He lighted up on his own.
Jones has got Harrington coming down, and Harrington is fouled.
Now that's just a great read by Harrington. I mean, time to dive and sprinted.
Well, Larry Bird drew the biggest ovation of the night, if you weren't with us on Friday, when he was introduced to the crowd late in the game to a standing ovation. And Larry Bird, who was the coach when Rick Carlisle was an assistant, before Larry retired for a short time. Then he came back to head basketball operations, and he has done just an absolutely fine job. And there is, of course, one of his executives, Chuck Person. Now, Chuck could fill it up for you.
The rifle man.
Yes, sir.
He could drill it. Years ago, Michael Kerr and I were in Boston Garden, and it's about 5:30. He said, "Where is he?" I said, "Where's who?" He said, "Larry Bird." He was told that he got here 2 hours early. We couldn't find him, and all of a sudden a shadow in the stairwell. He was sprinting upstairs. Unbelievable amount of energy, just getting ready. And Reggie Miller's a lot like that too. I think that's why they appreciate one another, obviously, and Reggie's fine play.
Well, Ricky Davis off the bench, and he just kept it on the dribble, and he had some rather caustic comments to say about the interim coach Carroll and the rest of the team. And my advice to Ricky would be just keep your mouth shut and play.
Right. Didn't that used to be in the closet or in the locker room where everything was taken care of? No laundry hanging out there.
He demonstrated to me the immaturity that causes a lot of scouts and coaches to say, no, I don't think so. He's a young man with a great deal of talent, and he just needs to show it on the court and become a team player, learn to play a little bit better defense.
He's part of the group they feel can get out and run the floor. There's no question about it. But, you know, when you're losing things pop up that normally are taken care of. And you mentioned the great job John Carroll's done. I think he's handled himself. The decorum has been incredible. The response, he handles the questions. He's had a lot of tough ones this week. And he kept the ship going, I think, and that's what this organization appreciates.
Yeah, and Doris, I know you've got more on that angle.
In an interview last week, Paul Pierce was asked about Ricky Davis. He said, listen, this is as he makes a great move on the baseline there, guys. He said, this is a young man with a tremendous amount of potential, Ricky Davis. But I really feel he's in need of a big brother type. He volunteered to be that guy over the summer. Now, whether that plays out could play into the hands of how the Celtics do next year. Certainly 2 good possessions on these last 2 guys.
And you know, Doris, as Atkins went down and still hasn't joined it. It's 4-on-5 for the Celtics here right now. Bad pass. But just a moment ago, Ricky Davis should have turned and come back to the man with the basketball. Now, he's got to work on his... He can't always be looking to flare and get down into an open floor. You've got to play both ends of the floor in the NBA. And Atkins is shaken up here.
Yeah, unfortunately, playing under with the big guys. And the last play, the bad turnover, Ron Artest caused it. I mean, he really puts the hands in. You mentioned the quickness of the hands, and Pierce jumped in the air, which is something he shouldn't do. They need Atkins to play. And this guy's been solid for them, pushing the ball, breaking the D down with the bounce. Banks will come in. He's got to step up and play solidly.
Yeah, he did not have a good game 3. This is a tough moment right now for the Celtics. Welcome back to Boston. Doris Burke and Bill Raftery. I'm Brent Musburger. 23-19. And Raf, let's take another look at this injury here.
We saw there, unfortunately, that right foot. You see that, Brent? As he stepped out of bounds there, a little perspiration possibly, and Eddie Lessert came out, took him inside, probably just to rebandage and get him back in.
Mim at the free throw line. Stays up there long enough to get a chance to fall through, huh?
This is a guy they expect things from. I think Danny felt he could come in and play solidly. And when you think of Rafe LaFrentz not being here, that's part of the dilemma as well. I mean, they don't have size. They don't have guys who can stick that mid-range jump shot, which Rafe can do. And he will hopefully be the start of something new and better next year.
The Celtics, there is Rafe. On the way down with Dallas came in the Antoine Walker deal. The Celtics have matched their biggest lead of the game of 6 right now. Last shot time here in the opening quarter. And at the pace of the game right now, generally favoring the Celtics the way it is flowing. And Artest hits a big jump shot over Welsh.
Well, he's gotten better with that too. That little pull up, and then he's right up to challenge the jumper too. So alert and involved in the game. Both ends of the floor. That's what makes him special.
So Paul Pierce coming alive, 3 of 6, 9 points in the opening quarter. Ron Artest hopes to slow him down as game 4 unfolds. Let's call this must-win Sabbath, because not only are the Celtics down 3-0, but the Knicks are down 3-0 with game 4 tonight on TNT at 7 Eastern, followed by the Grizzlies, who are down 3-0 against San Antonio at 9:30. So 3 teams today facing elimination in the NBA playoffs.
You ever notice when a team is successful, there's a lot of talking that goes on the bench. We saw Reggie Miller with Ron Artest there. They're always talking about situations, anticipating when they get in the game how to handle certain plays and players.
And Banks out now.
Pierce with that good solid start, played 12 minutes.
Davis attacks and 1.
Now that's a breakdown. And I see Foster talking now to Jones. They really value containing the bounce, as any coach would. And then if you get by, there's usually assistant. That time the blow by RD.
Pierce opens the second quarter on Coach Carroll's bench. Davis can't convert on the free throw, and the Pacers will come down. Johnson unit, Harrington, Foster, Bender, who threw in 19 in game 3, and Jones on the floor for Carlisle. And this is Jones pump faking. Davis gives him room.
Big size differential here. He can elevate over.
Just what he's looking to do.
Yep. What a load he is becoming, huh?
Oh,
in or out.
Big time future ahead of Jonathan Bender. Davis again on the dribble, has to get everybody more involved quicker.
That's
when he sets the table.
And Johnson just helping out, got a piece of it, jarred it loose.
Harrington swings free, bumps Mim, gets inside, left hand, draws the foul, and I think I noticed that Chucky Doris is, what's the situation with Atkins?
Brent, just a sprained right ankle. They did retape him. He is available to return, guys.
Well, that's good news.
Sure is for them. They are not deep. And there he is flexing. Interesting the great screens they run for the Pacers too. I mean, they get guys free. Harrington was wide open. How about his ability to get that up on the glass with his arms being dragged away, and Foster loading up on the other side. They deploy beautifully, Brent. There's always guys in a spot to get an offensive rebound.
You know, Rafton, watching Carlisle, he calls more plays than a lot of coaches in the NBA. Watching him over there.
Well, you mentioned the cheat sheet he had, you know, the cliff notes.
Yeah, he looked at the notes to see what he wanted to call. He orchestrates the plays that he wants done, much like a college coach might with his team. It's not simply 24 seconds to shoot and pick and roll with Carlisle and the Pacers.
Nice pump.
Oh, and here's through the foul from Bender. Got him in the air.
And Rick is up
They're
there
looking
saying
for the
two.
flagrant, huh?
No, he's well. I think he wants
three.
Yeah, Rick is up with the two fingers. Well, that's nice to see that smile. I didn't see that smile since we got to Boston. And this is when you know you're playing.
Inside.
You know what? I'll tell you what, he may have walked to.
I thought he stepped.
He shuffled in.
Stepped inside.
Bender on the closeout, and he's so big he doesn't have to be that close. Man, just keep that big hand up, Jonathan. Look at that dance step. Oh,
he moved them both.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
He wasn't sure which pivot foot to use. That was the dilemma for him. You know, I was talking to him the other day. He flew out to Lawrence, Kansas City, and out to Lawrence, put his bags down and knocked in like 8 in a row with Heinrich and Collison in that crowd. They were telling me, he was laughing about it. He remembered it, just threw him down. That's the Paul Pierce they'd like to see more of here.
Bender sliding inside of McCarty, who fouled him. 10.5 minutes to go here in the first half. Kevin and the gang will be a long rest at halftime to set the table for the Lakers and Rockets in game 4 halftime.
Nice job by Walter. Forces him deep here, Bender.
Missing on the jump, and there's athletic Davis. He does have a ton of athletic talent. Banks maneuvers, gets inside, left hand, misses the shot.
Size always wins out.
Johnson around the Harrington screen on a pick and roll, and now they've got basically a clear out with him bumping in on Pierce. They give it back to Bender.
So they reverse the ball, late pick and roll.
Jones attacks, and it's an offensive foul.
Paul Pierce picking it up. Now that's how you establish a little leadership.
Celtics up on Carlisle's Pacers by 5, and there's only one Indy starter on the floor, and that's Foster.
John Carroll, not that you're satisfied, but at least you're coaching now. You're involved. The players are giving you a chance to make some decisions over there.
Well, what you are pleased to see is a little of that old-fashioned pride, for lack of a better word.
Absolutely.
Not surrendering here in the early going.
Well, what did Red Auerbach tell us before the game about this Indy attitude?
He said, they're 3 deep in every position. And then he flicked ashes all over his sweater with this ever-present cigar.
And then he talked about his book.
Oh, yeah.
John Feinstein.
You know, I got a book coming out with John Feinstein. Exactly. I got a book, you know, because I reminded him of the old Red on Round Ball, the old series he did in the old days. We used to shoot it for halftime. Yeah, probably when he and Johnny would call that book. It'll be fun, though, if Red tells all his anecdotes, because he's got a few.
He will have a few books.
There's Red up there watching. I was sitting at a Chinese restaurant close to the old Garden one afternoon when he offered Bobby Knight a chance to coach the Celtics. I said, no way. I'm not cut out for that, and you know that. Red didn't ask a second time. He just got a second helping.
Could you imagine those two together? I mean, oh, my goodness. Red suggesting something to Robert.
Oh, that would have been something. That's it.
You know, I worked years ago up at Kutcher's, and Red used to come up there with 4 clinics. He was telling us about Claire B., Bob Knight. They used to get together in X and O all evening long. I'm sure there was a little libation here and there.
One of the great figures in the history of the NBA, Red Auerbach.
Tough little one to catch. They got a piece of it as Davis again gets into the lane, though. Manufacturing post-ups.
Yeah, he's quick. If you can harness all that ability and become a team player, a little bit better defense, he's got a future ahead of him.
Nice down screen. Plenty of time, too. Wow, maybe too much.
That'll happen sometimes.
Yeah,
a good one.
Start thinking a little bit.
Johnson waits for O'Neal, and now they load him on Blount, who's playing with 2 fouls. And O'Neal gets right baseline. He can't kiss it in off the glass, and Pierce is fouled by Harrington.
Nice job by Pierce and also Blount. He really made it tough for O'Neal. O'Neal feels he got hit on that particular play, but you got to keep their big guys away from the rim. Very successfully there by Pierce.
8:44 to go in the first half, and the Celtics on the brink of extinction are hanging tough in Boston. Yes, Kevin, moments ago, stop number 2 on his tour, working with Lucky, the mascot, to, now he tried to trick him twice, and this time he just held it high and let Lucky do his thing. And now he is off to Tampa. And, you know, the big thing is he doesn't have to go to Vancouver this year, only down to Florida. Okay, you're a lock to make this, but I don't care about that. Who's going to win the Kentucky Derby next Saturday? Give me a winner. I need a winner.
I like Tapit and Imperialism, but we don't have to make our bets yet, so I'm going to study some more. But I like those two. Winning the Wood was Tapit. Imperialism ran great in the Santa Anita Derby, got cut off. You know, you guys only showed the one. Earlier, I was in the same hotel as Irvin Johnson, so I tried to go around my neck, and the guy missed it. I thought I put the ball in the right place.
Oh, you thought you put it in the right place. Well, take a look at that monitor over there. Take a look at that monitor now.
Let's see.
Now, come on. Now, you know what? Wasn't too bad.
Instructions at the end, but yeah, we did the right thing. I think we're interfering with the game now, as usual.
Kenny, I love the way you opened those races with.
I'm doing great. We have a referee here. Okay.
Kenny, another turnover on the Celtic end there with your pass.
We're done. They just fired us. They want us to leave, man. I'm out of here.
Good luck, Kenny. On his way to Florida. What'd they say? Tampa, then Miami baseball game. Marlins going up tonight.
You might meet him later.
Yeah, I make him the favorite to make this one tonight.
Nice play. Draw the D and kick. Got to compliment it.
So the hockey and the baseball games, of course, are coming up next here on ESPN. And the Happy Wanderer is on the way. Tampa, pretty good looking gray horse. And here O'Neal kicks it back to Reggie, the veteran, and gets it back. Play a little two-man.
Nice hands.
Away beautifully.
Minister Eric, keep that in mind. Nice pass by Pierce.
And a nice block at the other end by Bender on Ricky Davis. McCarty looking to spot up. Banks attacks.
Nice job, too. Good ball movement, Walter. Give it the extra kick and a different Paul Pierce. I mean, he is more aggressive. Emotionally, he's in it. He's inspiring these guys.
This is a much better Celtic team. However, in my opinion, the Pacers have flattened out a little bit here today, and Johnson answers that with an outside perimeter shot to make it a 5.
You know, 3-zip. It'd be interesting what George Karl thinks. 3-zip, what kind of mental approach you bring when you're ahead. And sometimes it takes you a while. He may be a little lethargic as that once again they go inside. Blount's been solid. Now, you mentioned the 2 fouls. You know, I'd get a little itchy if he picks up one, because he's key for them, I think, if they're going to win this game.
Because they just do not have much size underneath. That's just huge. The loss of Lefroy France because of injury has really made this team short-handed. Johnson comes around again, good shooter.
Nice backup, huh? Really knows his role. Solid contributor, and now shooting the ball well. And he's loaded up down here with Pierce. He can elevate.
Blocked by O'Neal. Good shot blocker.
Great off the ball, and he just reads things beautifully.
Alley-oop.
And nobody home. Everybody looking around.
You know, the Celtics have given up some easy baskets underneath in the 2 games here in Boston.
Not communicating well, and John Carroll reads it very well. I don't think they were between defenses. They played a little matchup zone the other night, and they just let guys slip.
Jermaine O'Neal right away sees daylight. Give it to me.
And Paul Pierce should have followed him. Send it in, big fella.
Or Ricky Davis. Ricky Davis should have.
Brought to you by the new Sprite Remix Berry Clear and Westin Hotels and Resorts. Welcome to the age of modern luxury.
Paul Pierce scored but 9 points in Game 3 on Friday night. And already here this afternoon, he has 11 points in the first half. As we take a look, Raft, at our Sprite Mad Skills.
Well, a beautiful day in Boston, and you're wearing Ron Artest. I mean, that's not an easy task, but Pierce, different attitude, really popping in the lane, then pops outside. But just the aggressive play, and it gets a little frustrating, and he does get in your head, but I admire Paul Pierce for gathering himself after that incident and got himself into the throes of the game. Good recovery in a mental standpoint.
Some of the numbers are really in the Celtics' favor right now. The Pacers with only that 1 offensive putback, and that was by Foster. Their only offensive rebound of the game. There have been 10 fouls called on the Pacers and only 5 on the Celtics here with 6.5 minutes to go. The bench, as you might expect, still weighs heavily in the Pacers' favor, 13-6, and that is not going to change in this series at any point. Davis with Reggie Miller on him, gets a screen, gives it back to him, and it won't fall.
Now, Brent, they're getting to the foul line, too. It's another thing. Boston, 11 free throws, just a little more aggressive, even there. Nice little play, not taking advantage of.
Artest back with Tinsley, O'Neal, Harrington stays on the floor, and the veteran Reggie Miller. O'Neal's shot is blocked by Blount. Ooh, very active today.
All he got to do is turn and look. He had Davis flying.
Just lost by Pierce. So Artest comes off the bench and right away Pierce loses it out of bounds at the other. Didn't take Artest long to get a hand on the ball.
He is a nudge, and the ability to block shots mostly prevailing on the Pacers side. That time Blount's having a real solid game.
Harrington staying on McCarty. You cannot give him a spot up 3. He's a good shooter from the outside, and Harrington didn't give it to him. And Artest is all over Pierce.
See, that's where he gets in trouble, I think, when he's dancing with the dribble out there. Run your cuts, get your bumps, get in position, and now Artest really leveling
on
Pierce,
him at the other end. I mean, he took it to him offensively. Right off him. Oh, man, backed him down to the baseline and ate him up on that shot.
That is pounding your guy, and that's where he wears on you. Oh, the aggressive, plus the physique.
Jumps out on a switch, gets back on Pierce.
And O'Neal just denies. That's a great run.
And they've got a 3-on-1 run out.
That's unfortunate for the Celtics. The turnovers leading immediately to baskets, Brent. Where they turn it over.
Starters rested.
Yep.
Came back in. Led the surge here. And they've taken a lead on an 8-0 run. Remember, Johnson, the reserve guard, kept him in it for a while. Now losing control, but I believe it was touched last by O'Neal. Yeah, it's Celtics ball.
Nice
watch this. Watch the body contact. Watch with the shoulder. Now come back with the other one. Get yourself daylight. That was just extremely well done. And then the alley-oop pass to Jermaine.
That's taking it to him. And just the mental approach that Artest brings. He just punishes you. Hits your psyche, and here's a run out. No numbers even.
Reggie from the wing misfiring into Atkins' hands. Good to see him back on the floor after turning that ankle, the right ankle, a little bit earlier in the game. 4:27 to go here in the half. 34-33. Change that.
A nice job. Blount put a good screen on. Atkins just come off and settled.
Indiana, they have won each of the first 3 games by double digits.
And there's
left hand, and he drew the foul.
He had Davis on. They took advantage right away, Brent, over the top. Which is the real Ron Artest? Is it the last couple of years, or is it this year? And He does so many great things with his life. And Howard Garfinkel runs the 5-star camp. He drove from Indy all the way to Robert Morris College, worked the station drills, lived in the dorm, settled for the dormitory food, and actually picked up a couple of kids who were stranded at the bus station. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. And I just think this group coming together, and he came at the right time. And settled in, and they're all in a age bracket where they understand, they've been in the league for a while, what to do, how to take care of yourself. And obviously, he keys that defense.
Incidentally, that foul number 3 on Blount. So he leaves, and Mim replaces him. Welsh now comes onto the floor, and Davis sits down. Four minutes to go here in the half. The Pacers, Celtics are deadlocked at 35. Tinsley trying to slow Atkins down.
Now they are active with their hands too. Not only their legs are moving, but they're like raking at you, making it tough to bounce it.
Welsh attacks, tried to get it to Mim on the inside, and offensive foul goes against him.
And that's all that harassing defense on the bounce. Don't get anything easy. Attribute to this guy. They really are sound help-wise. You got O'Neal there to negate anything around the rim. Step up, scrape at you as you dribble by.
The one statistic that the Celtics have not been able to do much about, Raph, they're still turning the ball over a lot. They've, 9, which has led to 7 points by the Pacers so far in this game, and they could make it more if they convert here.
A little bit of a matchup right now. They do punish you, though. They're trying to get Harrington. Look at the mismatches they have. Size here. Mim can't get out and cover. They got the post up.
We did.
Harrington.
Yeah, hit the 2. Solid basketball team.
They are. They're going to be a tough out. Nice pass. Didn't convert it, but a great idea.
And Reggie got a hand on it to deflect it. And the starters back on the floor for Carlisle, playing better than they did in the opening minutes of the game. Interesting, he leaves Harrington out there in an illegal defense here. So we'll take a break with the 2:54 mark, with the Pacers leading the Celtics 37-35.
Hey, yo. We are getting set for the Toyota halftime show, and coming up, we will preview the Lakers and Rockets game, coming to you from Houston on ABC a little bit later. But guys, let's talk about this game. And Coach, you said this was a very important game for Indiana.
I think right now Indiana is a team that got knocked out in the first round last year. They've had great years the last 2 years, but their confidence, their grit is going to come with a win tonight.
Well, they got to get it done, and I have every confidence they are going to get it done. I mean, are we really expecting Mark Blount to continue to play the way that he's playing? I don't think so. I think they'll be just fine. They're right there. They're right there, ready to close the deal.
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes, but right now, let's go back to Brent.
Well, here's what the Indiana fans have to say about that, fellas. There's the sign man who attends all the Pacer games, one of their most loyal fans in the country. Maybe he's down in Florida, restaurateur. And Martinez and the Red Sox are ahead of the Yankees again, 2-0. So the Bo Sox taking a little heat off Danny Ainge and the Celtics.
Do you think George will have something to say if this continues?
I think so. But you know what? I kind of disagree with George Karl just a little bit. George, if you hear me, not much, but
George likes a good fight, by the way.
Well, George, a 5-game win is, it's what the heck? What's wrong with that if they lose one? Who says you have to sweep every series, George? You never said that when you were coaching the box.
He wanted to win every one, though.
That's true. That's true. He'll be coaching someplace next year, don't you think?
I do. Yeah. If he wants. I mean, he's great with us, obviously. His buddy's going to be joining us next year, Maybe I'm letting the cat out about Rick Majerus.
Oh,
he's coming on board. So
coming on board. I want to go out to the deli with Rick. He's one of the best in the business. So stepping far out now is our test. And Reggie fires.
Just bites it. Even if he's not shooting well, he's been a little frustrated. Not on his game, not knocking shots down. During the series, 31% for him. That is not Reggie Miller-like. Back screen on the box, and Mim loads up.
and Jermaine O'Neal was called for fouling Mim.
I think that might be his second, Brent.
It is indeed his second personal foul. He's 4 of 11 from the field, total of 8 points.
The big thing with Boston, they got to run their stuff in an extraordinary fashion.
Remember how well Pierce started? Well, he does not have a field goal yet this quarter, and he hit a couple of free throws with 10:45 to go. So they basically have blanked him over the last 8 minutes of this game, and it has been a different Celtic team when you take him out of the offense.
Well, as good as our test is on one-on-one situations, their team is so coordinated. I mean, they really adjust space, take away angles, ready to assist him.
And that's basically why I say there's no crisis in this game. They have easily the better of these two teams. I don't think there's any question about this. I don't think they have to prove anything. If they win it, fine. They're done, and they're going to get a big long rest.
That's a key thing, though.
But if they lose it, they get another nice home gate. Nothing wrong with that. Mim can't put it back in. Pierce yanks it away, and he scores fine.
Very competitive. That's what they got to do. A little bit more of. Get him around the rim. I don't like him out in the perimeter all the time. Give them different looks. Make them think a little on the defensive end. Mim, I believe, down inside, and on the other side, Welsh is really fighting hard, but they can get it to Artest anytime they want, Brent. He is a guy that holds off beautifully. We talk about the body strength, but he understands position, gets his guy turned the correct way.
You almost tell with the body language of the Indiana bench that they're kind of bored. You know, it's almost like we can do whatever we want over here.
Well, I mean, they may be right, unfortunately.
They're just kind of sitting over there, kind of hanging out, watching the game on a Sunday afternoon.
And Artest, look at that. He's just loaded up. They just can't get it to him. There he goes, huh?
There's the 3 ball. There's some nice polite applause over there. Okay, he's our teammate. Way to go. Just sitting there. It's great. We got the best team. We know it. No question about that. Mim a little bit short. Harrington yanks it off, and here they come again.
Pretty good play by Pierce, though. I mean, he found the guy, give him a nice open 10-footer.
Good play by Atkins. Oh, and then a bad pass.
And they got numbers here.
Mim is back. Atkins back. Go back into O'Neal and off McCarty. Pacers basketball with 1 minute, 1 second remaining, 16 on the shot.
One of the few times they really mishandled numbers there. Now their attitude has to be a little different. Apprehensive on the Celtic bench.
And clearly the crowd doesn't believe it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like they're in church. They've been quiet, just kind of watching a basketball game, kind of hanging out in Boston on a Sunday, waiting to get updates on the Red Sox, seeing how the Patriots, what they do to wrap up the draft, and, and hope that Danny Ainge found some talent over in Europe and can use those 3 firsts wisely. And the Pacers are thinking about, will it be Miami or will it be New Orleans? And it's just a matter of time. And there is not any urgency about what we're seeing here on either side, folks.
And Reggie, with that deflection earlier, he got a hand on a pass to the post. I mean, they all look at this load up. He's pulling his. Hey, you can get in trouble. You can get locked up for that.
That's right.
Mim going for the.
Mim was
the trousers, huh? Nip and tuck. That's not the only way you can stop him, huh? Oh, you go. Pay a lot of money. Not the only way you can stop them in the post-up, though. That could be embarrassing if those were tearaways.
Oh, mercy. So the Celtics now have turned it over 4 times in their last 7 possessions. I think now that I think about it, there are 3 elite teams in the East. The 2-time defending champion New Jersey, despite their injuries. The team we're watching, Indiana, and the Detroit Pistons. And until we get any of those 3 squaring off, and I guess it will be Detroit and New Jersey next. I don't think that Miami has proven yet that they're one of the elites. It's a great story now.
It is a wonderful story.
This is there isn't going to be the urgency because these teams are just much better than the other 5. There's more depth in the West. I honestly believe, Ralph, that the East can win the championship.
Oh, I do.
I think any of these top two can win it. I really do.
They only have to play one of the premier teams out there. It's not like you're going to war every night.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking at Rick Carlisle. They are so thorough on both ends. You mentioned he does call. They run their stuff, and then if they're in a half-court set, he dictates what they run. Get it to the correct hands.
Atkins kicks it back. Here's McCarty spotted. No, not to be, and at the buzzer, short on the shot. So let's see, the last 7 minutes and 4 seconds of the half, the Pacers outscored the Celtics 20-5. It was almost like it was a faucet, just turning it on in the correct way, and bingo.
Would you call it methodical?
Yeah, it was methodical. Let's go to Doris.
Jermaine, once again, the second quarter proved to be the difference for you guys. What changed midway through the second period?
Just our defense. We're struggling. I'm personally struggling shooting right now. Unfortunately, we got a good defense. It's really giving us the opportunity to stay in the game and giving us the opportunity to get some easy transition layups because we're struggling shooting the ball right now.
Mark Blount was surprisingly successful, 12 points, 8 rebounds. Anything you do differently with him?
I got to step my energy up. I got to step my game up. I'm out here too lax right now. It's game 4. We're trying to put these guys to bed. I got to bring it next time.
Good luck, Jermaine. He has apparently rebounded from that interesting defensive tactic, guys, that Chris Mim had.
Thanks, Doug.
Put him on the mattress.
I thought turned away when that happened. Coming up now on the Toyota Halftime Show, Kevin Frazier and crew back in the studio. Lakers Rockets preview. Yesterday, of course, there will be an NBA recap. The Pacers were down, but only briefly. Our test off the canvas, and now they lead it here, trying to sweep away the Boston Celtics. It's 46-38 at the half on ESPN.
My life, my job.
Paul Pierce, 4 of 11 from the floor. He has 13 points. The Boston Celtics need to find a way to get this guy going if they have any chance of winning this game. We check in on our McDonald's NBA brackets and take a look at the East. Stephen A. Nets and Knicks, and the Knicks a little irritated about the way the Nets celebrated after Game 3.
Well, they need to do something about it. How about winning a game and telling Tim Thomas to shut up and get on the court and back it up?
Thank you. Let's go to the West. And, George Carl, the Kings just demolished by the Dallas Mavericks last night.
A mash unit. They're hurt, they're banged up, and Dallas is the best home court, and they showed it last night.
Welcome to the Toyota Halftime Show. George Carl, Stephen A. Smith, Kevin Frazier. And, guys, we're getting set for a monster game down in Houston, the Lakers and Rockets, and that should be a great game. What do the Lakers need to do, and what do they do with Gary Payton, coach, because he hasn't played in the fourth quarter of the last 2 games, and there seems to be some friction. You know Gary well.
Well, Gary's going to show up. He's a competitor. He's going to show up on the court, and he's going to be mad. And my thing is I'd put him on Steve Francis because right now the Lakers do not have control of Steve Francis. He's going anywhere he wants to go with the ball, especially in pick-and-roll situations. Yao, in a lot of ways, negated Shaq. And I think right now Stephen Francis is the guy the Lakers got to figure out how to cover.
Well, I'm of the belief that the Los Angeles Lakers have negated Shaquille O'Neal to some degree because they're not getting this man the ball enough. I mean, he was dominant in the first quarter. Keep getting him the ball. Let him attack Yao. Let him attack Kelvin Cato so you have no post presence to nullify anything he's going to try to do. That would help the Lakers tremendously.
11 points in the first 6 minutes of that game, Game 3, that the Lakers ended up losing. For more on this series, let's check in with the guys who'll call the game on ABC, Al Michaels and Doc Rivers. Guys.
Hi, Kevin. We're ready for Game 4 here in Houston in a series in which the home team has won each of the games. We know there's a 5th game in Los Angeles on Wednesday. Will it be 2-2 or will the Lakers go up 3-1? Doc, one of the things the Lakers have talked about all season long is having trouble defending the pick and roll. Break it down for us.
Well, the big thing is Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal is a large man, and most large men don't move very well, and so every team is taking advantage of it. Now, you look here, here's the screen, and look at Shaq below the screen, below Yao. When he steps out, they have to give help. Bam, you get a shot in the corner by Jimmy Jackson. It's not just the shooter scoring all the time. It's not the guy with the ball there. You see Francis scoring. Here, Mobley comes off. Karl Malone helps. His man gets a shot. This time, Karl Malone doesn't help. Yao gets a shot. So they're not just scoring on the pick and roll. They're scoring because of the pick and roll, and it's a big play for the Rockets, and it's hurting the Lakers in this series.
Might be the big key. Phil Jackson calls it the screen roll. Whatever you want to call it, it's a key today. Jackson coming into the building, and Kevin, Game 4 from Houston coming up at about 3:30 Eastern Time.
Looking forward to that game. Everything starts with GMC hang time. Then it's the Lakers and Rockets and the exclusive announcement of the All-NBA team. So don't miss that. 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, and the Lakers really need to win that game. Meanwhile, the Rockets, excuse me, the Indiana Pacers rolling as they lead the Celtics 46-38.
This halftime show is presented by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-sized.
Ron Artest, one of the reasons that the Pacers are so tough in these playoffs, Coach.
Well, talking about All-NBA, is Ron Artest a first-team candidate? I think he is.
We will find out at halftime between the Rockets and Lakers. Meanwhile, we look at yesterday's games. The Hornets looking to win one at home. Caron Butler dropped 24 points for the Heat, but the guards just too good for New Orleans.
It's all about the guards. Baron Davis came out and showed his first-class ability to play in a professional, tough situation, led his team. David Wesley came on and played. Defensively, they changed up, held him to 32% shooting.
New Orleans wins 77-71. It's 2-1 in that series. Pistons and Bucks, two teams battling for the series advantage, and boy, Big Ben came strong in the second half, but so did their guards.
Well, you know, Chauncey Billups is a big-time scorer, and we know that he's a big, you know, he's going to hit big shots at big moments. He gets the job done. Say what you want about it.
Pistons win 95-85, take that series lead 2-1. Kings and Mavericks, and the best home team during the regular season look like the best team, period.
They were athletic, they were fast, they were quick, they beat Sacramento to the ball, and Sacramento looked like they were a mash unit.
104-79 the final, and then the Timberwolves and Nuggets, and how about the Nuggets? They played a mile high.
Tremendously well. Carmelo Anthony, and as Coach alluded to last night, Marcus Camby has been sensational. There's no question about that. But Minnesota did help when Michael Olowokandi and Irvin Johnson refused to show up. Get it together, guys. Get it together.
Nuggets win 107-86. Now, Denver became the first number 8 seed in the Western Conference to win a playoff game by 20 points or more. Dallas held the Kings to 79 points, their lowest total in the playoffs since Game 1 of the 81 Western Conference Finals, and Detroit gained back its home court advantage after overcoming a 12-point deficit to win Game 3. Meanwhile, the Celtics trying to stave off elimination. It's not looking good now. This is an important second half for Boston. They trail 46-38. And speaking of important games, oh, there's an important one coming up in Houston. Shaquille O'Neal and Gary getting set to take on the Rockets on ABC at 3:30 Eastern. Gary Payton has sat the fourth quarter out of the last 2 games, and Phil Jackson told him to be ready.
This halftime show is presented by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-sized.
The Indiana Pacers put it to them in the second quarter, and as a result of these numbers, they lead it by 8 points going into the second half, holding Boston to 37% overall in the first half, while blazing away themselves at close to 50%. So, Mr. Raftery, the second quarter repeats itself, and we are hasta la vista, my friend.
Well, Jermaine O'Neal said he wants to put them to bed. I mean, that's serious. They want to go back home and relax a little, enjoy the weather. But the second quarter, the defense just steps up for the Pacers. I mean, they really can step it up a notch and take people out of play. You had mentioned the difficulty for Paul Pierce, struggling, just not getting the touches in the right spot. The turnovers, and big thing with the turnovers, what they've led to, open floor opportunities, easy baskets. I mean, those are the kind of things that you really have to concentrate. Don't cough it up, value it, so people can be in position to defend.
Doris, what do you see with the Celtics body language here?
Well, I'll tell you, Brent, exactly what Bill Raftery was just discussing was what the topic of conversation was in the Celtics locker room, valuing the basketball. Too many guys running too many different plays on the same set. It's not the time of the year for that. And they also talked about making sure they execute into their sets, go deeper into their sets. For the Pacers, they talked about just not rebounding the basketball well enough. They have to keep the Celtics off the glass. Surprisingly, guys, which has gone opposite for the series, 27-16, the advantage on the glass for the Boston Celtics.
In the Dorsonville, these set of numbers will get you a tea time tomorrow. In the series, the Celtics with 60 assists and 65 turnovers right now.
Most courses are closed on Monday, though, so you'd have a little trouble. You're right. That is a scary bunch of numbers.
Early Tuesday, then, Raph.
That's right.
Welsh kicks it to Blount. Blount has been the A player for the Celtics in this game.
But we mentioned, Doris mentioned the rebounding. But one of the reasons the Pacers aren't rebounding as well, they only have one offensive rebound. So the Celtics are doing a pretty good job on that end of the floor. Nice entry here.
Test managed to get it out to Reggie for the three. Offensive rebound for Foster. Miller's second chance, and there, a second chance three-point basket.
Unbelievable. I mean, he's one of those guys, if he misses a putt, he's going to make the next one kind of approach. Not afraid, unabashed to take that next one.
Ooh, loud offense. That's number 4.
Not a good play. I mean, that was set up earlier. You've got to read it, pick it up, and kick it out.
The Pacers could earn themselves a long rest. That's not always the best thing for game 1 of a series. They await the winner of Miami and New Orleans. That at 2-1, Heat with the lead. And we'll see how that one unfolds. Miami with the home court advantage. And Blount stays on the floor. And that's a dangerous gamble here by Coach Carroll, but he's been his best player overall. And so it's really a dilemma for Carroll. He just does not have big bodies on the bench. We've talked about LaFrence's injury, how short-handed they are. And so they're going to leave him out there with the 4 right now. Usually that'd be automatic that you would come out in an NBA game at this moment. And O'Neal drains one over the top, and Blount really can't be aggressive even in that situation.
And the other thing, Atkins is not himself either with that ankle that he turned. He's not as quick, not able to do the things that generally you're accustomed to seeing him do. They've been switching. Miller ended up earlier on Pierce. They took advantage. He couldn't convert. Now they get back to Norm here with Artest on him.
All Pacers underneath the glass. 3-0. Tremaine has it knocked away with 15 on the shot clock for Indiana.
Brent, this is just a little thing. Do you see how far that pass came from Tinsley? That's a 25-foot pass between defenders. Nobody got a hand in the lane. The man playing the passer didn't harass. I mean, those are the little things that get you in a lot of trouble. Look at Artest holding off. They got McCarty, who's going to open up somebody else.
Right now, a few boos in the crowd as Artest is not the favorite. Throws one up at the buzzer, which just rimmed out, and Pierce cut off by Reggie Miller. And another turnover. I think that's about 13 for the Celtics. Make it 14.
And 4 for Pierce, by the way. And that one there, the defense frustrated him. Put a little more steam on it. Didn't get it to his guy.
Artest a 2.
Workmanlike. Punch in. Do your day's work.
That's all this is.
Absolutely. This is a team well organized, talented, and extremely well coached.
It looks to me like the Celtics are mailing it in right now, Bill. I mean, they didn't come out, at least in game 3, they started the second half with some fire, but I don't see it.
They didn't extend the floor, got to make shots, get after them. They are in a deep dilemma as the Pacers continue to talk to one another and help one another.
Get into Taco Bell for the cheesy ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by GMC. We are professional grade. And Taco Bell. Think outside the bun.
Well, here, Indiana cruising right now in game 4 against the Celtics. And a reminder that when we finish, switch over to ABC, where you will watch the Lakers and the Rockets. The Rockets having won game 3 at home. They look to even that series, and NBA hang time at 3 Eastern. And at halftime of that game, they will announce the All-NBA team. It'll be interesting to see if Jermaine O'Neal cracks that lineup, and it's going to be tough with Shaquille in there, Duncan in there, Garnett in there. You know, when I just had a box sent up to me from 2 years ago when the Celtics played in the Eastern Conference Finals. They lost in 6 games to the New Jersey Nets. I was curious about a couple of things. For one thing, Kenny Anderson was Jim O'Brien's point guard that day. He is seated over on the Pacers bench right there. He was 8 of 14 in that game, scored 18 points in a 96-88 loss. But Antoine Walker now down in Dallas. Eric Williams and Tony Battie in Cleveland. Paul Pierce, the only one left. He was just 5 of 16 in that loss. Rodney Rogers off the bench. Walter McCarty off the bench. Eric Strickland, Tony Dub. Mark Blount did not get off the bench.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? We put a Pata Pinko, of course, removed after that year as well. And don't forget, Strickland playing with the Bucks. I mean, you know, solid backup guy. Rogers is a guy that really had a terrific series shooting the ball well. It's a whole different ball of wax. That's the second long jumper for Pierce. He's got to get inside, I think.
Now, we were talking about the long possible break for the Pacers as they wait their next opponent. I will tell you right now that when their first team scrimmages their second, they're going to get as much heat as they get in this series.
Well, you know what they should do? Sell tickets for it.
Absolutely.
You mentioned they don't get this game back there. You're right. The competition level is so keen, and I would imagine the second group, when they go at it, wins a fair share of the
I would say
of the encounters.
Second group, the matchup with Jermaine O'Neal might cause him a little difficulty.
Yeah, that's true too. But you know, Austin Crozier not in the game at all. Foster back on the floor at this point, runs the floor, does the little things.
I can never remember discussing a Boston Celtic playoff game in which I said the second unit on the other team would give them more competition than what the Celtics are doing. That's just unbelievable in my mind.
Well, that's how things have changed, and the whole new idea is to get a athletic, quick, a team that's going to push it up the floor, and that's why he was in Europe, quite frankly, and checking out kids, he being Danny Ainge.
The Celtics have not had a point in their last 8 possessions. It's not a sweep, it's an embarrassment. It's just the only way you can describe what has happened to one of the most storied franchises in NBA history. So Wells finally comes down and he nails one, and there's a guy who knows what Celtic pride is all about, was a great part of it, and now he's trying to bring the same thing to the Indiana Pacers. And Donnie Walsh, of course, set it in motion. We cannot overlook the man who is seated to Bird's left right now. Wow. As Artest steps outside and hits a big one. There is Donnie. You're looking at the right in the glasses. And the point to make about him is how he has kept this team afloat, the Pacers, as he remade them and brought in youngsters like Harrington and Bender and gave him a chance to flourish and picked up O'Neal and kept Reggie Miller. And then Larry got Rick Carlisle to be the coach. There's Jermaine with a great block.
He retooled and still made the playoffs, which is very difficult. As we've seen the Celtics go the other way, they have really had their problems. Reggie keeps on Perkin, and they get it to him when he's free. I mean, that's a quick timeout now. John Carroll.
You know, the Pacers did not remake it through the draft. Huge trade with Chicago. They're picking up Artest. Another huge trade with Portland. They pick up O'Neal. You've got to know the talent that's out there in the NBA, and right now the Pacers on a 13-2 run.
First round series against the Lakers. Lakers and Rockets coming up at 3:30 Eastern on ABC. This is a very important game in this series, guys.
All right, Kevin, thanks. And here it's 59-42, a 17-point differential. And Ralph, take a look at our GMC game track.
I'll be glad to. Unfortunately, it isn't very favorable to the team in white, and that's one of those discards that were unattractive, and Artest added a little to it. Nice pull-up, 2-bouncer, drill the jumper, a little nylon, and making mistakes on the delivery usually at that portion of the floor lead to runouts and defensive breakdowns. No balance, no orchestration whatsoever in getting back on the defensive end.
Pierce, who started the game strongly in the second and third quarters, 1 of 9 against his Pacer defense. 4 points for Paul Pierce. Blount with 4 fouls, doubled, and they go to strip it from him. And Tinsley knocking the ball out of bounds with 7 on the shot clock.
They did a great job faking as though they were going to come double and step out of the lane, fake, and then a rake. Just solid defensively, their philosophy.
Artest. Look at that in behind. Stole it from Pierce, the defensive player of the year.
Unbelievable ability to turn you, twist you, and then rake you. Here comes the single double. Reggie coming off a curl. You got to really come up on him. He's much better, I think, coming around the other side.
Reggie Miller missing. But in the first 21 minutes of this game, he had a single point, and since 13, and he was trying to add to it, and he gets over defensively on Welsh.
And look at the 4 shirts for the Pacers in the correct spot. No second attempts. Oops, a little fall there. Foster tried to curl, yeah. That's what Miller does great. Brent, he comes off and drags 2 people with him. Foster was attempting to get to the glass. It would have been a nice little layup for him. One of the best I've seen and can remember coming off screens.
Reft, instead of a playoff atmosphere in here, it's like a preseason game in October.
It's like, right now, it's almost like the library.
Yeah.
Quiet. Shh. And of course, the team is not giving them a whole lot to respond. There's just not a whole lot of energy. And Flount with a nice little slip to the tin. They're always communicating about a defensive lapse, which is a very healthy atmosphere. Just the ability to slip to the tin, a little screen down, and Foster gets over and tags a little bit late, but Blount reads that nicely. He does get free in the lane. Not too bad, those numbers. That will get some GM's eye, huh?
Yep. Look at Artest come over for the pick and screen over there on that side. Pierce jumps on him.
That's one of their favorite plays. He runs from one wing to the other, and they clear that side for him.
And he comes firing. Blount rebounds. Pierce kept his hand in Artest's face. Pierce wants it on the wing.
Nice job by Banks. That's what they need, energy. Punch. Tack the rim. Quick timeout, it looks like.
And Carlisle wants a foul. He's yelling at Garrison. And Ronnie says, Coach, get on over there. Double to get out of here.
I think
Tinsley says, come on. Well, that's a foul.
A little nickel dimer, come on.
And Garrison says, look at the scoreboard. What are you guys beefing about? He walks over there to get himself a drink of water. Good referee. That's not making it any worse than it is. Garrison and I have airplanes to catch. 59-47. Well, Danny Ainge. Let's call him Captain Splash. And the way he's remade. Here goes, folks. Antoine, man overboard. Williams, man overboard. Batiste, man overboard. Delt, man overboard. Oh, yeah. Come on, Davis, Atkins, and Mim, and Welsh. So you talk about remaking a team over. Captain Splash is on the clock, folks. No question.
A life preserver necessary on that boat.
Oh, you got
but they have to be patient here. I mean, his philosophy, bringing new people in, 3 first-round picks, all of those things are going to take a while, but it is agonizing for them to go through this.
The biggest problem of all. This is like when they had 3 first-round picks, no longer with the team, of course, in 2001. That didn't help, that particular draft. Biggest problem this franchise unable to overcome as the crowd tries to get into it, and Jermaine nails the jumper against Mim.
And they had a little altercation between Harrington and Blount there off the ball. Good piece of officiating. Joe Forte right on top of it. Mark Wunderlich.
Ref not winning the lottery for Tim Duncan.
Oh, that was
They have not been the same.
Well, you know, Rick Pitino, we were hoping on for that. Obviously, things have changed.
2 franchises. Harrington away with the steal. Mim and Pierce there defensively, and Harrington Drives into him and draws the foul.
You know, that timeout we mentioned, Rick Carlisle chastising the officials. I think honestly he wants to get this thing over. You know, more of that attention on that foul, because he's, you know, you want to spread this thing, and he all the timeout go right to O'Neal for the TAJ, and then all of a sudden the coordination defensively by Harrington off the ball, grabs it and goes wire to wire.
If you go back home now, if you kick this one away, now they pick on you for blowing it. Okay, and you got to live with that. He definitely has to close the door right now and just be done with it.
And Harrington really struggling from the free throw line during the playoffs. 37% in the playoffs, and it's not a bad looking stroke.
Double man off the bench, isn't that something?
Incredible. Of course, during the year he was 73%.
Well, the Celtics started the day, what they make, 5 of their first 7, and the Pacers were disinterested until, remember now, Carlisle used 2 quick timeouts at the start of the game when the Celtics were on that run, and he could see in the body language of his team that they weren't ready, and he tightened the screws a little bit, sat down the first unit for a time, and the bench led the way. Bender, they're so good that Austin Crozier, he hasn't even played in this game. He hasn't been in it.
Not at all. Kenny Anderson hasn't played as well. Pollard hasn't played. You know, John Carroll has the same situation. I'm sure he didn't like the body vibes of his team, but he can't do anything about it. There aren't the choices that Crozier presents, or Johnson, who's coming in now, presents. They've got some numbers and quality. Oh, what a turnover.
And that is 19 turnovers by the Celtics in this game. A reminder to get an all-access look at the NBA playoffs. Tune into the NBA TV playoff show Destination Finals every weeknight on NBA TV.
Chuck Daly used to say to coach one game in the NBA is an experience that you certainly can't replace. This series, after all the good work, a struggle for John Carroll and his Celts.
Jermaine just jumped in and knocked. He anticipated that and was so quick to the ball that time. And the Banks can't be telegraphing an entry pass like that when you're matched against the speed of Jermaine O'Neal. That's not going to work in the NBA.
Well, Blount's got to lock him up, but you're right. The foot speed. He doesn't really hug a guy like a lot of centers. He uses the Bill Russell philosophy. Right. The quick feet.
Banks gets to the rim. Nicely that time.
He's picked up a spark here for this team. We mentioned Atkins with that ankle, not quite himself as a speed burner.
Test feeds Harrington underneath.
Oh, that was just a terrific effort. O'Neal holding off in the corner to give Artest an opportunity. The defense breaks down. Pretty good response by Harrington.
Jermaine keeps Blount away. Tough shot. Yeah, very bad shot. O'Neal did a good job of keeping him out, though.
Got him out 7 feet away from the box.
Pierce chases Artest out beyond the arc. Harrington got it. Wow.
That'll get you to the next street, huh?
And we get word that Chucky Atkins, the ankle injury did flare up, and he is out for the game. This is maybe Dana Barrows will finally see the floor.
Yeah, they have 1 minute, I think, in the playoffs. Where they are just trapping and forcing tough catches.
3 on the shot. Final minute of the third quarter.
And the more you watch Artest, he's not terrific with the dribble, but he doesn't lose it. You know what I mean? He's more very upright, but he protects it. That off arm.
He's an impressive force.
That he is.
This will be a tough matchup for either Miami or New Orleans. And for the Celts, Danny Ainge, it's back to the drawing boards.
Tough look.
Shot clock coming down to 10.
See, they're not able to run anything right now, Brent. It's really a dilemma for them.
Ricky Davis tried to slam it back in, and Pierce nails a 3-ball.
And that would have awakened people if Davis finished that one off. Hurt his wrist, too,
Yes,
up on the
did.
10. I had that problem when I was younger.
When you get up on the ladder to put the net up? Hey, Coach?
Just about. Tough
shot at the buzzer. And all we can say about the quarter and the game, all Indiana. They won this quarter 24-14 after winning the second quarter 25-13. 12 minutes away from sweeping away the Boston Celtics.
The NBA playoffs on ESPN continues in a moment.
Order. The Celtics with a 4-point advantage after one. But then 25-13, 24-14, and some interesting faces here today.
Well, the first-year Pacers coach record, the first guy to establish it was Slick Leonard with 58 wins. And then a guy came along by the name of Larry Bird. Of course, we'll get back to Slick, 59 wins. And a first-year coach by the name of Rick Carlisle came along, 61 wins. He now has the record. Pretty good accomplishment for those three. Of course, Slick, one of the greats out of Indiana. ABA coach there with the Pacers, and there's Rick, 61. Not a bad start, huh?
Yeah, that is something. Slick is one of the great characters of the NBA. It's always fun to see. Somebody gave a free copy of a tape called Natural Golf, and he has rediscovered golf. After the two hips, I think, were replaced. We were talking about it at dinner the other night.
Of course, Rick, 3 straight division titles, 64% winning percentage. I mean, that's unbelievable. As Paul Pierce gets on track from a guy who's tough to get away from. Ron Artest.
Johnson and Jones, Artest, Harrington, and Foster. And one.
A ISO, and despite a late scrape, able to get a chance for 3, and perplexed or incredulous, one of the two, as we take a look at the bench.
I wonder what Artest does against Kobe Bryant.
Defensively?
Yeah, I'm sure if I asked and thought about it, Slick and those folks would have told me in a hurry.
If he had a good game against him, he worked like heck to have a good game against him. That's what he does. Plus, I think he gets a lot of help. They really understand position, when to assist.
He could play on your team, couldn't he, Raph?
Oh, just like, you know, he just sets a tone, too. Right? You know, a macho tone. We're going to go get you.
And Mim jumping in to get it, and a foul against Boston. And you know, speaking of Kobe, coming up at 3:30 on ABC, I guess a little over about 25 minutes from now, it will be the Lakers and the Rockets in Game 4, with the Lakers leading that series 2-1.
Sorry, Brent.
No,
I was just going to say, a little trap. You like to see some energy by the Celtics coming down the stretch. I mean, it's being professional. Nice block by Pierce.
Harrington, though, attacks. Tap. Min tries to get control of it.
Sometimes it's desire, isn't it? Not size. It's what the Valentine is dictating. See how the strength of Artest as he rides, uses the derriere. Now look where he is. And look at the bang he takes.
In and out. Mim. Foster jumps Pierce on a switch, and so they've got Blount down low on Artest. They can't reverse it, or they haven't reversed it in that moment, because Pierce wants to go to work, and now he's got 7 on the shot.
Remember our conversation about Rodman as Banks gets an open look here. Good ball movement. But Rodman can play everybody 1 through 5, the point guard through the center. I think Artest can too. They can be very physical, a little bit like Grant in Miami, you know, undersized a little bit, but can bang people.
Let's go to Doris.
Well, Bill, it's interesting you just mentioned Rodman and Grant, two guys that Donnie Walsh, when he put this particular team together, he had that Chicago team in mind. He said, one thing that we needed in today's NBA is length and guys who can play multiple positions. You're watching Al Harrington here. He's one of those guys. Bender, another one. O'Neal can step out and guard on the perimeter. So this is a guy who took some criticism early in his career. Remember, Rick Smits early on not producing. He ends up taking them to the 2000 finals. And obviously this season, a special year with 61 wins. But it's interesting that they changed the makeup. That 2000 team that went to the finals for Donnie Walsh, it was role guys. Rick Smits at the center spot, Reggie on the wing, Mark Jackson at the point, Jalen Rose. This is a more athletic, versatile team. So, Billy, interesting you mentioned those two guys. He just mentioned those two players to me prior to this game today.
That's interesting. Somebody does agree with me or thinks the same way. That could be dangerous too, Doris. But incidentally, as Doris was starting, that Blount and Harrington got into it a little bit. Artest came over by our announce position here, Brent, and he was smiling like, grow up, Al. You know, it's like, oh, has he changed, huh?
Also going about as far away from it as he could.
Right. Guilt by association.
The same thing.
They might get my number.
Sixth man clenches his fist as he runs back down the floor. Tightened up here a little bit. 73-58. 9:20 away. The Celtics eliminated Indiana a year ago. So the Pacers 9 minutes away from returning the favor as the Celtics turnover now reaches number 20 in this game.
Needed an extraordinary effort from everybody and make sure you don't turn it over. All of the things that are negative happening. Plus the ability of this team to change your field goal percentage too.
Mim cleans up the Harrington miss. And here's Banks searching for daylight. Knocked out of bounds. And we've got a timeout in Boston. The Indiana Pacers hoping to advance in the first round of the playoffs here on ESPN.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by The Day After Tomorrow, in theaters May 28th. And Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world.
This update brought to you by Taco Bell. Still a busy day of basketball ahead, and in just moments, the Lakers Rockets on ABC from Houston. Can the Rockets even that series up at 2 games apiece? And then in the evening, TNT with a pair of closeout games as the Nets take on the Knicks and the Spurs take on the Grizzlies. Brent?
All right, Kevin, and here Indiana. 8 minutes and 51 seconds away from advancing. And our McDonald's brackets for the West will show you that the Lakers and Houston will meet the winner of the San Antonio-Memphis series with the Spurs up 3-0. And the Spurs, even though they're a 3 seed, will have the home court advantage against either the 2nd-seeded Lakers or number 7 Houston because they had a better record. That's how the NBA determines home court advantage. Not how you're seated, but the best record. So keep that in mind should it be the Celtics and the Spurs. For the Celtics, they have lost 7 consecutive playoff games. That dates back to the 2003 postseason. It is the longest losing streak the Celtics have ever had in the playoffs. And prior to this streak, their longest losing streak was 5 games. So they're trying to avoid some negative history here, if you will. And they have 8.5 minutes to do something about it. This quarter, they've hit 3 of 4 3-point shots and a few more of those, and maybe they can climb back into the thick of things. But Johnson will try to respond, cannot, and the Celtics have another opportunity.
And Banks has been the key, I think. Even though Davis converted that last jump shot, a lot more. Oh, that's not a good look between. Oh my goodness, that was thrown right at the defender. And those are chances that, as you climb back in, you've got to avoid.
They have whittled a 21-point lead down to 12. Pacers have gone cold from the floor, flattened out, probably not concentrating after that big lead that they had. They're 0 for their last 6 from the field. Make it 0 for 7, giving the Celtics an opportunity to make one final run. And Rick Carlisle is up. He realizes it. 7:40 to go.
And passes like that just kill you. They give it
the foul.
Yeah, heady play. Interesting, Bender on Pierce now with Artest getting the blow. That's a lot of respect for his defensive prowess.
The Celtics trying to get this down into single digits. Johnson coming up to the free throw line off the bench. He's 2 of 4 from the field. The Pacers with 16 assists and 9 turnovers now, and the Celtics with 14 assists and 21 turnovers. And it's been long-range shooting for Boston here with 3 3-point hoops.
And they've been rebounding very well. Brown, unfortunately, not handling the basketball properly, put them in holes or just knocked off runs for them. They've gone away from McCarty. They've got more of a speed group here. Banks and Davis.
Banks, Blount, Pierce, Mim, and Davis. Banks shoots the baseline. Left hand not there. And it's Pacers.
Too much size. I mean, he's been to the rim early first half as well. Being able to finish. Part of the deal.
Johnson has to struggle to get it across. Good defense by Banks that time. Excellent.
Well, he hustled down floor, picked up Johnson, really made him work, got him on a bad angle, caused all the dilemma.
The crowd appreciated that effort. Bender fouls Pierce as Paul tries to get the baseline on him at the 6:51 mark. Kenny and Reggie and enjoying the moment over there. A couple of relaxed veterans.
They've been down the road before. Kenny's saying he thinks he's in the best shape he's been in years working out. The comparisons of the two.
Not too many smiles on that other bench.
The haves and the have-nots, pretty much, huh? Keeping up with the Joneses.
Harrington bumps him. And of course, tonight, New Jersey will attempt to close out the Knicks in the Garden tonight at 7 p.m. And then San Antonio will try to do likewise in Memphis. And the Grizzlies under Jerry West and Hubie Brown have enjoyed a fabulous, fabulous season, regardless of what transpires tonight.
How about 50? I mean, unbelievable. Putting wins together. Jason Williams and Hubie on the same page. And Posey come in, but once again, the off defender and the giveaway by Mim. That's just terrific. I mean, you contain a step or a dribble, and you got assistants next to you. That is terrific.
Turnovers for the
what's your
Celtics here.
Look at that. It's just in the right spot. I mean, they know where to be. They cushion the post entry on a dribble drive. They've got the angle to open up and play the guy. Clear path, huh?
Yeah, it was a clear path. So Harrington makes the free throw, and now the officials conferring Artest, enjoying the moment over there. The lead grows to 15. And after that, Indiana gets the ball out of bounds at the 6.5-minute mark.
Remember meeting with Rick the other day? Didn't you get the feeling he thought that this was going to be very competitive here?
Yes.
And I think we both did too. We expected more of a effort, being more competitive, but you know, diffusing, self-diffusing.
It hasn't been very competitive, Doris.
It's interesting, guys. He spoke to us before Game 3, and he talked about the fact that this Indiana Pacers team was ready to take a quantum leap emotionally. And I think throughout the series, they demonstrated exactly that. Every time the Celtics have gotten close, made a push, they got it to 12, they've been able to respond. It's guys like Reggie Miller and the veterans who have the great work ethic, come to work every day prepared, and know when to step up in the playoffs and make stops. And they've certainly demonstrated that throughout. And Rick said it didn't matter that I was coaching them. They were ready to make the leap mentally.
Team maturing, I think, is what he said. The age was right.
Strong move by Pierce down the baseline for the stuff, and it's a 15. That's 23 points coming off his all-time playoff low of 9 Friday night. Bender's three is on the money.
And Pierce just opened up a little. Couldn't get back in control. That's what he can do. Really lifts this team, I think, was his ability to shoot the ball out there. A lot of guys can post up. A lot of things they can do.
Weren't we talking about a 12-point lead just moments ago? I mean, it's unbelievable. And another turnover. No, I believe he hit the basket. So we've got a timeout here. 5:22 to go. And looks like there will be 8 seconds on the shot clock when we come back.
Rockets over on ABC. You notice the seriousness on Shaquille O'Neal's face. The bounce not as jovial because this is a very important game for LA to win. That's over on ABC, guys.
All right, Kevin, and here the Pacers lead at 81-63. Fans, if you don't have high definition, what are you waiting for? With 5 times the resolution and a wider picture, ESPN HD will change the way you watch sports forever. If you haven't experienced ESPN HD, go to your local Best Buy and take a look at a Philips HD TV. Once you do, you'll never go back.
You have one in each room, I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
Both south and north. They do give you a lot of enjoyment. Baseball's unbelievable watching it too.
So's hockey.
Yeah, I would think too.
Playoffs. Let's see. We've got HD baseball on ESPN. Help me out in the there in the truck. Aaron Owens and Jimmy Moore. How about the hockey game? Is that an HD today? Canadians are going to play. Huh? They're going to play. Not HD there, men, just the baseball with the Braves and the Marlins. That's our guys in the truck, the Big A as we call him, Aaron Owens. He's done a fabulous job for us all season. And Jimmy Moore, the director at the controls. We thank them and the rest of the ESPN crew for really outstanding work all the time. I tend to take the fellas for granted, but they really make our job real easy, right?
You don't take it for granted. And the Big A's got the family here in Boston, too.
That's right.
I wouldn't want to pay that room bill.
You know, we've talked about the Indiana coach, and one other point I want to make about Rick Carlisle. He played for the Celtics here from 84-85 and 86-87. He is one of 4 men who once played for the Celtics and then coached against them in a playoff series. The other 3, Casey Jones, Easy Ed McCauley, and Don Nelson.
Wow. And he's got the ring, too. Rick Carlisle is a Celtic. First that attachment with Bird. I'm sure Larry was impressed by his understanding of the game back then. That's how it all started. And Chuck Daly, who had a nice look here but couldn't convert. Chuck Daly had Rick as an assistant coach with the Nets. How about Banks playing a lot better than he's played earlier? And Chuck felt he was going to become a terrific coach because he was of the computer age. He was advanced. He used to be in the huddle, and he could diagram a play on this computer he had, and he could tell Chuck what play they were going to run down the stretch of every team in the league. From the top of his head, it would come out. And that's pretty extraordinary. And a former player, coaches were starting to hire former players. Chuck just thought he had the whole package, and he certainly has proven that in Detroit and here.
And Bird recognized it, made him his top assistant, and brought him back when he had the opportunity as he took over control of the basketball operations. And Rick Carlisle was just a telephone call away from becoming a ESPN NBA analyst. He would have worked in the studio and done some games, and who knows, I might not have had my good friend Bill Rafter.
He could have been here. Maybe Larry would have hired me then. I don't know. I'm not so sure of that.
But there's a chance. High stepping Paul Pierce.
Everybody's around. You don't get an easy look.
Timeout, Carlisle. Still time for a little Celtic pride. Three minutes and 52 seconds away from a sweep.
Okay, we're all set on.
The Pacers with a lead, but let's take you inside the sounds with Ron Garrettson.
Ron Artest comes to me on that out of bounds on the side. He goes, Ron, my muscle's twitching. His right bicep right here has like a 4-inch definition, and you can tell it's like spazzing. He takes a jump. He takes a jump rope. So I tell Rick Carlisle in front, I go, Rick, just so you know, his biceps twitching like big time. He goes, Ron, there's a lot of things twitching on him.
That is great. And right now, Rick's doing a little twitching over there as he makes sure to get the heavy wood back in. And that's why Artest back on the floor. Perilous with almost 4 minutes remaining.
The remaining crowd here in Boston trying to urge the Celtics to continue their 6-0 run. Pierce, 3 of 4 from the field this quarter with 7 points. The defense trying to trap Tinsley. Artest is back on the floor for the final 3:42. Carlisle does not want this run to continue. He wants to snap it right here. There's only 4 on the shot. Jones drives. O'Neal lays it in at the buzzer.
What a great use of the bounce by Jones. Drawn and then slipping it to O'Neal. That was just terrific. And really negated some great defense by the Celtics. Nice play.
Yeah, to Mim, and Foster had a hand on it all the way.
Well, he reads, didn't he? They all do. That drive by Jones, the Celtics, unfortunately, don't help out on that bounce as well as the Pacers do.
Kicked Artest corner with 7 on the shot. He'll go over Pierce.
Muscle's okay right now.
That was twitching at a high speed, wasn't it?
It sure was. He's improved his offense since his days at St. John's. And look at this perfect trap, the rotation.
Banks with the 3. Foster had sealed off Blount. Artest puts it into Tinsley's hands. 3 on 2, and they leave the middle open, but he traveled. He saw that daylight. He couldn't resist the extra step.
Well, he exposed the ball, and the defense really reacted. A little trickery as he got to the rim, but unfortunately, a couple extra steps. Rick is not sure of this thing. I mean, he is pacing that sideline in concern.
Pierce up firing. And the Pacers are 2-10 away from bringing the brooms out in Boston. They're also about to become the 2nd team to sweep a series by double-digit margins in each game. And let me give you the storyboard coming up next on SportsCenter. Who's the NBA final favorites? Are the Marlins for real with that great pitching staff? And shorter National Hockey League season. Threat of a strike, of course, still looms there. Tinsley on the free throw line. So right after our game, it'll be SportsCenter here on ESPN.
You know, Brent, you had mentioned earlier Bird's comments on Tinsley being an all-star in 3 years, and he does get guys involved. Almost 6 assists a game. I think he's 15th in the NBA in that category, and for what they have, he really has an understanding of how to get them involved. And as his career goes on, he'll become a better shooter. I think he's improved immensely from his Iowa State. Here's a little giveaway around the rim. Has a better idea of release, and just with all the teaching that goes on and the amount of practice, he certainly will get better.
First in the last 2 minutes. Has 2 shots.
You go back through the years with the Boston Celtics. Swept a year ago by the Nets, and 4 previous times. A couple times in the 50s and a couple in the 80s. Chuck Daly did it once in '89. Now it is the Pacers who are about to continue the Celtics losing streak. Tommy Heinsohn, a player, won championships. As a coach, won championships with the Boston Celtics. Very painful for the Celtic greats to watch what's going on. Bender up firing. And back in the 1980 conference semifinals, the Celtics swept away the Rockets in 4 straight games. They won every game by at least 10 points. This will be the first time since then, if the Pacers win this game by more than 10 points. Only happened once before in NBA history.
That Banks really playing to the end here. Nice
there
hold
you
off.
have it. And again, that was against Houston, as I told you. Johnson will come in now for the final 1 minute. So you folks in Indianapolis, get the brooms ready.
I think they'll have a couple of relaxing days, these Pacers. I'm sure they'll.
Yeah, he'll give a couple days off, won't he?
Yeah, I would think so.
Now let's see.
They won't. They won't. Coaches won't take it off.
You said down in Louisville next Saturday I should watch out for Eric.
Minister Eric, I believe.
Minister Eric.
Right.
And I'm going with imperialism.
Okay.
And the Pacers will await the winner of the Miami-New Orleans series, with the Heat leading, having held serve in Miami. They're up 2-1 on that one. And Indiana swept Miami, but I note that they did have some difficulty with New Orleans. Now, I don't know if that's with or without Mashburn.
Right,
It's out of
probably
the
without McGlure, of course.
series. McGlure has played very well.
Great year. I love B.J. Brown, what he does defensively. We talk about Artest.
Another
Is the
turnover.
Baron healthy? That's the key with
Well,
that ankle.
yeah, you can say he's healthy, and then something else will happen.
Yeah,
You know, and he'll
hope not. Great talent.
Yeah. 26 field goals and 26 turnovers for the Celtics, as Bender misfires from outside in the final 30 seconds. The final half minute on the Boston Celtic season ticks away, and Indiana moves on to the next round. And Blount, who has played well here today, makes it 90-75. And smattering of applause and a few boos from the crowd here as it ends with Indiana sweeping the Boston Celtics. And we're talking about Ron Artest. He held Paul Pierce in this series to 34% from the field. Once again, the final score, 90-75. Coming up next right here on ESPN Sports Center from Boston. I'm Brent Musburger saying so long for our entire ESPN crew as the Indiana Pacers sweep away the Boston Celtics and advance to the next round in the NBA playoffs, where they will meet either Miami or New Orleans. The Heat right now leads that series 2-1. So long, everybody.
This